Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about why it can be so scary to ask for help or to rely on others as a fearful, avoidant attachment style individual. Hey, I just wanted to jump in here really quick and let you know exciting news, which is that we are launching round 2 of integrated attachment theory coaching training. This is training with me about everything related to attachment styles, reconditioning the subconscious mind, and also includes a full session all about how to build your business, how to produce funnels, how to really up level so that you can work from home, work with clients, have the freedom and flexibility you want to be of service, to contribute after a whole bunch of training, really learning about these tools and tips from the inside out. I'm really excited to be sharing this. We won't be doing this again till literally probably October of next year, 2023. So join now while you can. We're doing this because of popular demand from our last one. Our seats filled up so quickly, and I would love to be able to share this with you. So if you want to learn more and get on the list below, you can click the link in the description box, and we begin this October 5th. So if you haven't already seen, I have multiple videos on this channel about fearful avoidance and their core wounds. And something I've created and trademarked and sort of really put a whole body of work into over the last 10 or so years is called integrated attachment theory. And the idea around it is that each attachment style has its own core wounds, its own needs, its own relationship to the way they set boundaries, its own emotional patterns, its own way of communicating, and even things like their own expectations and relationships for how it's supposed to go and what it's supposed to look like. And these major features have a huge impact on our attachment style, and also a huge impact on exactly what we have to do to heal our attachment style to become secure and to have thriving relationships once again. Or have thriving relationships if you haven't had that experience yet of having thriving relationships as well, which is fairly normal as an insecurely attached person and can be really painful and challenging at the same time. So what this video relates to today has a lot to do with the core wound element of fearful avoidance. And this is why it can be so scary to ask for help. So if you imagine a fearful avoidant attachment style, some of their big core wounds and some of the ones that they honestly, I think, build their whole personality and life trying to avoid having to feel again, is I can't trust, or I will be betrayed, and I am helpless. And fearful avoidance, when they grow up, especially in like a chaotic home or where there's, sort of these like really challenging attachment patterns, fearful avoidants feel like they can't trust their caregivers. They usually get a different version of something happening on each and every day. So one day a caregiver is happy, one day they're sad, one day they're emotional. Like, let's just use the example of two parents that fight all the time, right? Maybe some days the parents are calm. Maybe other days there's all this resentment building. Maybe other days, the caregivers are taking their anger out on their children. Maybe they're fighting with each other. Maybe they're unpredictable and scary when they're mad. Maybe they're nice sometimes again and feel guilty about being angry, or you can see so many different variations of this. Maybe it's the parent who's an alcoholic, and one day they're sober and they're nice. One day they're drinking and they're nice. Other days they're drinking and angry, or sobering up and in a really bad mood. So you can see like all the different sort of like unpredictable patterns. And what this does to the fearful avoidant, which is also known as like disorganized attachment style, right? It creates this disorder. I like the word disorganized for this reason, is it creates this disorganization in their attachment patterns, right? It's like there's nothing to organize by. There's no consistency. And so what essentially takes place is the fearful avoidant feels like I can't trust. And when they can't trust and rely on their caregiver, or if they try to, and then the caregiver doesn't meet their needs or becomes a more unpredictable version, they're often left feeling really helpless or powerless or just out of control. And their whole environment can feel out of control and really scary. So how does this young child, if this is a pattern that occurs from childhood, keep in mind too, like you can also develop your attachment style later on, right? It can be as a result of a tumultuous relationship in your adult life. Anything can really recondition our subconscious mind if it's emotional enough and repetitive enough. So if you see these patterns, well, then you've got this child in this case, in this example, who feels terrified of feeling helpless and really feels like people aren't that reliable or they're not really able to trust them. And so how does the child adapt? Well, they adapt by usually trying to hyper control their own lives and being terrified to reach out and ask for help because they feel terrified of reaching out and asking for help, and then feeling like they can't rely on somebody and their needs get neglected when they were trying to be vulnerable. And then they feel like their trust is broken, they feel betrayed, and then they feel helpless yet again. And if there's this subconscious comfort zone around chaos, around feeling helpless, and around like all this fear attached to that and how uncomfortable and painful that felt, then you'll see people go way out of their way to ever avoid having to feel like that. And this is part of why you'll see so many fearful avoidants really organize their lives and how they show up and everything that they do in a way, subconsciously, not even necessarily consciously, to try to avoid having to rely on others. Now, it's a really important life lesson for fearful avoidance as they become secure, because without having some form of interdependence, you are really limited to what you are capable of having in terms of fulfillment in relationships, in life, in work, in business, in all these different areas. It's really important to be able to rely on other people in a healthy way and to ask for help and to receive it, because otherwise you won't feel seen or heard or really deeply cared for. And you'll sort of go through life with your wall up, thinking that you just have to be invulnerable, is that a word? That you will do everything you can to just not be vulnerable. And, that guardedness hurts you the most, right? That inability to receive or rely on someone hurts you the most. It doesn't mean that there's a guarantee that everybody will be perfect, but it does mean that it's important to build back the ability to trust other people. At least you don't have to trust somebody with everything all at once all the time, but to really expand out that internal trust baseline and feel safe and comfortable communicating your needs truly and honestly, setting your boundaries, and receiving support from other people the way that you go out and support so many other people in your life, because that is a huge characteristic of the fearful avoidant attachment style. So hopefully this gives you some context as to why this is going on, what's happening beneath the surface. If you want to do a deep dive into repairing your internal trust baseline and learning to receive support and help, I have a huge course on this you can check out for free for 7 days. It's probably one of the most important things a fearful avoidant can do. And it's literally called Repairing Broken Trust and Overcoming Jealousy. And it talks about trust from the relationship context, but it also really talks about self-trust, trust as a whole context, and really like regenerating our ability to rely on other people, to trust people, and to put ourselves out there. Because one of the most painful things I think fearful avoidants go through is that they build this belief they can't trust, they can't rely on others, and then they don't communicate what they actually need support around. And so those needs are never seen. And then it seems to reinforce this idea that people aren't there for you, when really it can be that people weren't there for you the way you needed at some point in time in your life. And that caused those wounds. And then you protected yourself from people, which stopped you from being seen and heard and known, and your true self being known, so that you could receive support as you actually need it, because people can't read minds. And so by learning to like open up and share who you are, you're going to see that your needs get met so much more from other people in your life as a result. So a very powerful life lesson for as a person, but also for relationships and feeling connected and feeling equally supported the way that you try to go out there and support others. So hopefully this all makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, and please subscribe to this channel if you hang out here and haven't already. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.